Hey everyone, welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. First of all, I just want to say sorry for missing the last 2 weeks. That was not planned. I only planned to have a week off, and because I do these videos all myself, I do all the research, editing, everything, it's just so hard for me to always get a video out there. And then I caught the flu, which you can probably still hear in my voice. So apologies for that. But thank you for being so understanding, so patient. So let's get on to today's case. And oh my God. Lately, I don't know if any of you have noticed this, but I have been seeing an increase in news stories about women in positions of power becoming sexual predators. And I'm just like, what the hell is going on? Because that is the kind of case that we are covering today. Today, we are covering the case of Rebecca Joins. Because Rebecca was a teacher. She was in her 20s, so she was very young. She was seen as very attractive. And in 2021, Rebecca started to receive incredibly sexualized comments from teenage students. Teenage boys would make comments about her appearance. They would say, "Oh, miss, you're so fit, you're so sexy," blah, 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 comments like that. And instead of Rebecca shutting those comments down, reacting appropriately, she actually loved them. She encouraged them. And she started to develop very inappropriate intimate relationships with some students. And eventually this case, it's literally like a roller coaster. It's so crazy because after everything, Rebecca ends up giving birth to one of their babies. And this came to light only a couple of months ago in the UK, and I could not believe it. My jaw was on the ground. I just couldn't believe that this case is real.
It depends if you do not mention one question.
So prepare to be very angry in today's video because Rebecca does make my blood boil. So let's jump in. So I just want to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, and that is Love and Pies. And if you haven't heard me talk about Love and Pies before, which I'm sure you have because I've talked about them so many times, but Love and Pies is the coziest game you could ever play. You play as a single mom, Amelia Green, who has recently just inherited her mom's burnt down cafe. But Amelia's mom has also gone missing. There are so many juicy secrets to uncover. There is a will they, won't they relationship. It's just packed full of drama. And the storyline of the game is just so good. It's like you're following along your own little Netflix drama. And I know so many of you already play Love and Pies, which really warms my heart because it's such an incredible game. But something that I love about Love and Pies is that the game is constantly updating. It's always packed full of new things to do. There's always special events. Like recently, Love and Pies just celebrated Pride Month, and I'm currently playing a new special event which is called the Fairy Tale Pass. And I haven't even mentioned my favorite thing, is that you actually do have your own cafe. And that's what I mean about this game. There's always so much going on. There's always new things. You'll never get bored. And if any of you have never played Love and Pies, I cannot recommend it enough. For everyone that downloads Love and Pies using my unique link in the description box and plays to day 3, you will receive an amazing gift via your in-game inbox, which consists of 200 energy and 50 gems. And you will quickly find out how important those gems are. So go download Love and Pies right now for free using my link in my description box. And using that link rather than going to the App Store really does help out this channel because it lets Love and Pies know that you came from this video. So I just want to thank Love and Pies again for sponsoring today's video, but thank you to every single one of you watching right now, because truly without all of you guys, I wouldn't get opportunities like this. And now let's jump into today's case. Rebecca Joins was born on the 30th of December 1993, making her a Capricorn, and she grew up just outside of Liverpool in the UK. She lived with her parents, and it is said that Rebecca had a very happy life. She was the eldest of 2 daughters, and she was given everything that she could ever want in life. But she did have her struggles. She struggled a little bit with her mental health. She definitely struggled with anxiety. She was bullied in school, which is obviously not okay, and that bullying actually led to her having an eating disorder. So she definitely had her struggles, but all in all, it was a pretty happy childhood. She graduated from high school, she went on to university, and Rebecca was a very talented, intelligent individual. She had a very bright future ahead of her. At least so it seemed anyway. And whilst she was at university, there was something significant that happened in Rebecca's life, and that was her love life. So she did have a boyfriend. We do not know his name. And they actually met and started dating when they were 15. So they are high school sweethearts, and then they've obviously gone to university and they're still together. So they're currently in this relationship. They have been together for 4 years at this point, and they are inseparable. They thought that was it. They had found their one true love. They were going to go through university together, get married, have a family, live happily ever after. However, that was not about to be the case, and we will find out that Rebecca's boyfriend actually plays a pretty significant role in what happens in today's case, even though I just want to stress right now that this is not his fault whatsoever. Rebecca is crazy, but yes, it definitely triggered off a series of unfortunate events. But anyway, Rebecca is at university, and when she's at university, she makes a very significant decision, and that is that she wants to become a teacher. And now she needs to get her postgraduate degree in teaching, which she went on to do, no problems. She managed to get a job at a high school in Manchester, and the next few years passed by with nothing really significant to note, and it really did just seem like Rebecca had a perfect life. She was still with her boyfriend. They had now been together for 9 years. The couple were living in a pretty fancy, nice apartment in Manchester. And Rebecca was really good at her job. She was described as an amazing teacher. She was loved by her students, by fellow faculty. She was actually celebrated as a teacher on World Teachers' Day. On top of this, Rebecca's parents also opened up a local cafe, which was incredibly successful. And Rebecca, from time to time, on weekends or just whenever she had time off, did work at the cafe. I mean, obviously no one's life is perfect, but Rebecca's life is about as good as you can get it. She has her dream job, she's in an amazing relationship, she has great parents, she has a lot of money, she has a home that's very nice and fancy, she doesn't need anything or want anything. However, now everything just seems to go south very quickly. And it all started with her relationship with her boyfriend. Like I've said, they have been together for 9 years at this point, and up until this point, their relationship was like really great, really healthy. They literally were made for each other. However, now it had become incredibly toxic. The couple would argue every single day. Rebecca has been described as an incredibly jealous, insecure person. She always thought that her boyfriend was cheating on her, and she accused him of doing that on a number of occasions. She wanted to know where her boyfriend was every single day, at every single minute. She was incredibly controlling, checking his phone, quizzing him left, right, and center over everything that he did. And over time, the boyfriend, he just couldn't cope with this anymore. He didn't want this, and he broke up with her. And Rebecca took this incredibly hard because Rebecca had been with this man since she was 15 years old. This is the only relationship that she had ever known. This is the only thing in life she had ever known. All she knew was him. All she knew was life with him. So she knew that her life would now never be the same. And after the breakup, Rebecca struggled a lot with depression. She never wanted to leave the house. It was a struggle to even get out of bed every single day. She never wanted to go to work. She didn't want to do anything. Literally every single thing in Rebecca's life felt a million times harder now that she was suffering with depression and now that she was single. But now is where everything in Rebecca's life gets so much worse because it is now 2020. And this is obviously when the pandemic hit. And Rebecca, like everybody else, was forced into lockdown. Schools all over the UK were shut and teaching was moved online. So now Rebecca really was completely isolated. Rebecca was now in this apartment on her own. She couldn't see anyone. She couldn't see her family. She couldn't go to work. She couldn't interact with anybody. It was an incredibly isolating time for her. And on top of that, she was stuck in the apartment that she had shared with her boyfriend. And obviously that apartment was filled with memories, happy memories of the relationship, obviously also very sad memories of the end of their relationship. And this went on for the next 18 months. Over that period of time, the lockdown was sometimes lifted and Rebecca was able to go back into the classroom and actually teach students face to face. But then I don't know what it was like in any other country, but in the UK, it seemed like we were in lockdown, then we were taken out, and then we were back in lockdown, and it was different for different areas of the UK. It was complete chaos. So every time Rebecca would return back to the classroom, she found herself back in lockdown like a month later. And this was not helping her whatsoever. Her mental health was just going down, down, and down. And by the time we get to September of 2021, this is when Rebecca, she's now currently 27 years old. This is when she returns to the classroom full time. Like lockdown is now completely over. And this made her so happy. Her crushing loneliness started to slowly lift. However, I don't know what it was, but when Rebecca returned to the classroom after lockdown, like permanently, something seemed to have shifted. Because upon returning to the classroom, Rebecca started to receive a lot of incredibly inappropriate comments from students. Given that Rebecca is in her 20s, she's definitely on maybe the younger side of a teacher. She's teaching high school students. There was quite a few teenage boys that she taught that singled her out as the young, attractive teacher. So whilst Rebecca was teaching, she would receive comments like, "Oh, miss, you're so fit, you're so sexy, oh, give me your number, take me out on a date." Now, I'm not sure if Rebecca ever received these comments before lockdown. I mean, there's obviously a very good chance that she did. However, what has changed is Rebecca's attitude towards these comments, because these comments are incredibly inappropriate. These teenagers that were making these comments should have been taught that you can't just say these things to people. This is harassment. It can lead to harassment. And especially, don't even get me started on the whole inappropriateness of teacher-student. But Rebecca, instead of shutting these comments down, maybe teaching these teenage boys a lesson, trying to educate them on how it's wrong to say these things, Rebecca liked these comments. Rebecca never did a single thing to stop these comments. She never spoke to these boys. She never reprimanded them in any way. She never spoke to any other teachers about them. She never did anything. She liked these boys making flirtatious comments about her. It made her feel wanted. It made her feel special. It gave her the validation that Rebecca felt like she was missing in life since she was no longer with her boyfriend. And that is what has changed. Rebecca may have received those comments before, but she had a boyfriend, so they didn't really bother her. But then obviously the whole lockdown thing happened, and she's now no longer with her boyfriend, and now she's got these young teenage boys showing her attention. And I don't know what the hell was going through her brain, but somehow she thought that this was okay. She has lost her goddamn mind. And it is just so disturbing that she is seeking this romantic validation from children. I know they're teenagers, but they're children. Because the boys that were making these kinds of comments, they were aged 14, 15. These are children that are in her care. She has a duty to care, and she is literally doing the exact opposite. Now, this goes on for a few weeks, and Rebecca starts to get a little bit of a reputation that she is a teacher that likes to flirt with her children, that she likes these flirtatious comments, that she likes the attention. So what do you know? More teenage boys start showing her attention. Rebecca also gained a nickname amongst the students, which was Bunda Becky. Now, I don't know if I am just 80 years old. I am clearly out of the loop, but I never heard of the word bunda before. But apparently bunda is just referring to someone's bum. That's it. So basically the students were insinuating that Rebecca had a nice bum, so they called her Bunda Becky. And Rebecca loved this nickname. She never did anything to shut it down. But then it just got worse because Rebecca started to interact back with these flirtatious comments. So Rebecca is now flirting back with these teenage boys. It's just so disturbing. And if you think things are bad now, they are about to get so much worse. Because Rebecca is about to lure an innocent student in her messed up little world. And this student is boy A. And the identities of the victims in today's case have been protected, so we do not know their names. They are only referred to as boy A, boy B, etc. So boy A, we know that they are only 15 years old. They are currently in year 11 in high school, which is equivalent to a 10th grade sophomore student in the US. And Rebecca is a maths teacher. I actually forgot to say that. And boy A has Rebecca as his maths teacher, or should I say Miss Joins is his maths teacher. And Rebecca became boy A's maths teacher for the very first time in September of 2021 when she returned to the classroom. So it's start of term. Rebecca is receiving a lot of flirtatious comments off of teenage boys, and she notices that boy A in particular is extremely flirtatious. He was the one that would call her Bunda Becky. He was the one that would call her sexy all of the time. He definitely was the one that seemed to flirt with her more than any other student. Boy A would also tell everybody else that he had a massive crush on Miss Joins. He even told his mom, quote, "My maths teacher is well fit." On top of all of this, boy A was constantly pushing and hounding Rebecca for her phone number. He was one of the students that would say, "Hey miss, give me your phone number, let's go out on a date, blah, blah, blah." And he would do this openly, he would do this in front of the whole class. And I just want to make it very clear here that I am not blaming him whatsoever, even though these comments are inappropriate and he should be told that they are inappropriate and taught that he can't say these things. He is still only a child, and Rebecca is the adult in this situation. And she's also in a position of power, and it is on her to do this. But she wasn't. She never once told him to stop. She actually started flirting back with him. And then one day on October the 11th, 2021, which I just really want to stress right now is only 5 weeks into the term. Rebecca has only been boy A's teacher for 5 weeks. That is how long she has known him. So on the 11th of October, 2021, Rebecca decides to set boy A a little maths challenge. Because boy A, as we know, has been hounding her for her phone number. So Rebecca thought that it was a brilliant idea to stand at the whiteboard in front of the whole class, and she wrote down the first 9 digits of her phone number in front of the whole class. She didn't just do it in front of boy A. No. She did it in front of the whole class. And Rebecca said to boy A, if he could guess the final 2 digits of her phone number, well then he could contact her anytime he wanted. Which I'm like, what the hell? What the actual hell? She has written the first 9 digits of her number on the board for every student in her class to see. She is being so bold about what she is doing here. And also, this is hardly a challenge. Boy A only has to guess the final 2 digits of her number. That's what, like 100 combinations? So what did boy A do for that entire maths lesson? He just put the 9 digits in that he knew and tried out every single combination that he could until he got it correct. He finally got the correct combination and he dialed that number, pressed the little phone, and Rebecca's mobile phone in her bag started ringing. So boy A knew that he had gotten the right number. So now he had a teacher's personal number, which is wrong on so many levels. But that is exactly what Rebecca wanted. Because who the hell writes the first 9 digits of their number out for the whole class? This is the outcome that she wanted. She is a predator through and through. She knew exactly what she was doing. So after that lesson, later on the evening on that same day, boy A messaged Rebecca. And did Rebecca ignore this message like a sane person? Of course not. She jumped into a full-on conversation with him. It started with very flirty messages from boy A. And boy A was saying things like, "Are you going to ignore me then? I see how it is." And Rebecca replied, "No, of course not." And then boy A responds, "I don't like maths now. I get too distracted." I think we all know what he means there. And Rebecca, in a creepy, flirty way, messaged back, "It better be from the work and nothing else." Again, we all know what she means here too. To which boy A responded, "Of course, miss. What else would it be?" To which Rebecca responded, "Good," with a winky face emoji. And it's just so creepy. Rebecca is grooming this 15-year-old boy. She is using her position of power to her advantage. And the text messages continued every single day. But then he went on to Snapchat. And obviously we all know how Snapchat works. The messages, the photos, everything disappears within 24 hours. So there would be no trace of what Rebecca was saying. So God knows what she was saying on Snapchat. But other texts that were sent during the week between the two, boy A said, quote, "I better be the only boy you're texting." And Rebecca replied, "Of course, it's only you." And then boy A said, "As it should be. Best student if you ask me," which Rebecca replied in a flirty way, "That's debatable, wink wink." And as the next few days passed, boy A was pretty much telling everyone that he came across, all of his friends, that he was going to, quote, "shag Miss Joins." So he wasn't exactly keeping this a secret. He was making it well known that he was talking to Miss Joins, that he was in somewhat of a relationship with her. But this didn't seem to scare off Rebecca. It didn't seem to knock some sense into her. Boy A just started asking if they could meet up after school, go on a date, and Rebecca replied saying, yeah, of course they could. So on Friday, the 15th of October 2021, which is just 5 days after Boy A first originally got her mobile number, this is when they arranged to meet up for the first time outside of school. The speed that all of this is progressing is insane. Boy A first got Rebecca's number on Monday. They start texting throughout the week, and then by Friday of the same week, they're already going on their first date outside of school, which is just insane. There wasn't like a long period of time where there was a lot of text messaging going back and forth, like a building of a relationship. No, none of that. Literally 5 days. So during that day, on the Friday, Boy A messages Rebecca saying, am I coming later or not? And Rebecca replies, quote, you had better come now that you've told me you are. So they arranged to go on a date to the Trafford shopping centre, which if you are not from the UK, or at least if you're not from Manchester, the Trafford centre is like a huge shopping mall, which again, this is shocking to me that they are going to such a public place for their date. Rebecca is acting so confidently, she's acting so bold that she is taking this teenage boy on a date in public to a very busy place on a Friday night. Have you ever heard something so insane? She does not seem to be worried whatsoever that she is going to be caught. So Boy A went home after school. He lied to his parents and said that he was actually going to a friend's house and he was staying at his friend's house all evening and that he would be gone for the whole night. So he packed an overnight bag, walked out of his home, went down a few streets, and Rebecca was there waiting for him in her car. The two of them drove to Rebecca's doggy daycare to pick up Rebecca's dog. You know, she had to do some errands. So then after they picked up Rebecca's dog, they made their way to Rebecca's parents' home because Rebecca wanted to drop her dog off at her parents' home so the dog wouldn't disturb her date. And I'm just like, what the actual hell? Could you not have done that before you picked up the child? Like, literally, what is going through her head? So anyway, they arrive at Rebecca's parents' home and she makes Boy A lie flat on the back seats so her parents wouldn't see him. Like that makes it any better. And then after they've dropped the dog off, the two of them make their way to the Trafford Centre to go on their little date. And it's bizarre because the whole thing is caught on CCTV. Of course it is. It's a shopping centre. The pair can be seen walking around various shops. They actually go for food. And then on CCTV, the two of them are caught walking into Selfridges, which is a huge department store. It's like a luxury department store in the UK. And they can be seen walking around Selfridges. And then this next thing, I could not believe it. I was like, oh my God, this is not happening. They're in the Gucci store in Selfridges. Rebecca can be seen with Boy A at the counter at the Gucci store. And Boy A is eyeing up a Gucci belt. And Rebecca offers to buy him the £345 Gucci belt, which of course Boy A accepted. And I'm like, oh my God, what the hell? Rebecca has just bought this child a designer belt, £345 on a belt, and that is just grooming. It's clearly another tactic for her to have control and manipulate Boy A that this is what he wants. So then after they finish up their little date in the Trafford Centre, they both go back to Rebecca's apartment, and on the journey back to the apartment, Boy A was actually joking around with Rebecca saying, oh, I'm not even old enough to drive yet. Because yeah, he's only 15. And Rebecca actually says back to him, oh, don't say that. Basically insinuating, oh, don't remind me that you can't drive because you're only bloody 15. And then at around 8 p.m, the pair can be seen again on CCTV entering Rebecca's apartment. And once inside, this is now the next stage of Rebecca's twisted plan. Because Boy A sits down on the sofa and he asks Rebecca, what do you want to do now? Which Rebecca replies, I don't know. What do you want to do now? And this is obviously a very suggestive conversation, which then Boy A replies, quote, how many people have you slept with? To which Rebecca replied, laughing, that's a strange question, not as many as you. Which I'm like, What? Why would Rebecca respond to that? He is 15 years old and he's also a virgin. Why the hell would Rebecca respond to that? Ha ha ha, I don't know, not as many as you. She is a sick and twisted individual. And at this point, from later testimony, Boy A has actually said that he felt incredibly uncomfortable at this moment. Boy A was convinced that Rebecca would call the whole thing off. Like, surely Rebecca or Miss Joins was not going to have sex with her student. I think Boy A, up until this point, had not really been taking it seriously, and he kind of just thought, she's an adult, like surely this is not going to actually go too far. But Rebecca abused her position and she did take it too far. I mean, this whole bloody thing is too far because Rebecca is a predator and she did not call it off. And she now starts to make sexual advances towards Boy A. She led Boy A to the bedroom. She started kissing him. She then got undressed and said, quote, "No one had better find out about this." And then Rebecca starts to sexually assault Boy A. And I want to make this very clear that this is sexual assault. Even if Boy A has consented to this, this is sexual assault. He is 15 years old. He is under the age of consent. This is statutory rape. And that is not even taking into account that Rebecca is a teacher. She is in a position of power. So for Rebecca, the age of consent actually increases to 18, meaning that under no circumstances can Boy A actually give consent to this. So this sexual assault lasts between 40 and 60 minutes, and Boy A has said that he felt incredibly uncomfortable during the whole thing. Later on, Boy A has said that he was unable to ejaculate, and after the sexual assault finished, the pair then went on to watch TV together. And then a few hours later, Rebecca sexually assaulted Boy A again. And unbelievably, both times Rebecca did not use protection. And the second sexual assault, Boy A did ejaculate. Now afterwards, Boy A was incredibly worried that he had gotten Miss Joins pregnant. However, Rebecca told him not to worry because she couldn't get pregnant because she suffered from polycystic ovarian syndrome. And we don't know if Rebecca even had this condition. I just don't know. However, she is lying. If you have polycystic ovarian syndrome, it can be harder to get pregnant, but not impossible. And it's just crazy when you think about it that the teenage boy is the only one that seems to be worried about a possible accidental pregnancy between a teacher and a student, not the adult. And with how quickly she has progressed into an extremely dangerous predator, it just got my mind thinking, has she done this before? Because this does not seem like the actions of a first-time offender. Now, obviously, this is just my opinion. There is no evidence out there to suggest that she has done this before, but I just couldn't help think that because she's acting so emboldened this whole time, like she's gotten away with something like this before. So after this incredibly messed up sexual assault, Boy A and Rebecca share a bed for the night. Rebecca left early the next morning on her own accord to go and get a house key cut so she could give a house key to Boy A. She gave a house key to Boy A and told him that he could come and go as he pleases. And I'm like, wow. So Boy A eventually returned home to his parents, and later on that day he actually went back to the Trafford Centre to go shopping with his mom, and his mom noticed a red and purple love bite on her son's neck. And she confronted her son about this. She was like, "What the hell is this? Where have you been? Who have you been with?" To which Boy A just responded like, "I don't know." He was acting very shifty, covering his neck. He then later went home and started messaging Rebecca saying that he was worried that his mom would find out about what they had done. To which Rebecca said back, she better not find out, it was me. However, would this encounter stay secret? No, it pretty much came out straight away because Boy A started messaging some of his friends over the weekend about what had happened. So of course, rumours started to spread like wildfire. And by the time Monday morning came around, the rumours had gotten so out of hand that an anonymous tip was sent in to Child Protective Services. So then obviously the school was informed about what was going on. So the first thing that the school did was inform Boy A's mom about what was happening, and she was obviously understandably furious. She came storming into the school, and this is when Boy A broke down in tears in front of his mom and said, "I'm sorry, Mom, the whole thing is true." And then straight away the police were called. Now, meanwhile, whilst all of this commotion is going on in the head teacher's office, Rebecca was back in her own classroom and she was panicking because obviously she had heard the rumors, she kind of knew what was going on, and she thought, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to get caught. All of this is going to come out. So this is when we now need to introduce another person to today's case, and that is Boy B. Because at some point during that morning when all of this commotion was going on, Boy B walked past Rebecca's classroom and he saw that Rebecca was crying, and he went into her classroom to ask if she was okay. And Rebecca got up to her old tricks and started instantly manipulating Boy B. She started saying to Boy B that she was crying because she was frustrated because she was trying to wipe her phone of all information and data and everything, but she was frustrated because she couldn't figure out how to do it. So Boy B took her mobile phone off of her and did it for her, wiped her phone, set her phone back to the factory settings, having no idea that he's actually just covered up a crime. So this is when Rebecca thanked Boy B for what he has done and said that she would make it up to him at a later date. Now, obviously, given the fact that we do not know the identity of Boy B and the tone of my voice, I think we all know where this is going, so remember Boy B. And shortly after this encounter with Boy B, police arrived in Rebecca's classroom to arrest her. And I know what you're all thinking. Hang on a minute. How the hell does Boy B come back up in this case if she's currently arrested? And I have that same question because there should be no more victims to today's case. She is arrested. End of. But unfortunately, the criminal justice system doesn't always work like that. So Boy A was interviewed and he told the police everything. So afterwards, the police wanted Rebecca's phone to find all of the evidence, but they couldn't find any evidence because everything had been deleted. Rebecca was immediately suspended from her job pending a further investigation, and she had to turn up in court to obviously be formally charged, face her charges, etc. And she pled not guilty. And she said that the whole thing was a lie and it was made up by Boy A. So then shortly afterwards, she was released on bail, awaiting a more thorough investigation and trial. And she had conditions to her bail. And there was pretty much only one condition to her bail. And that is that she has no unsupervised contact with anyone under the ages of 18. Which we will soon find out that she 100% breaches. And this is pretty much where Rebecca's life falls apart. Because she has now been suspended from her job pending investigation, rumours started to spread about her, which of course they did. And obviously it was only rumours, no one knew the true story because no one could talk. The identities of the victims were obviously kept secret, but that doesn't stop rumours. And people started to speculate. And obviously Rebecca now doesn't have a job, so she was forced to work in her parents' cafe full time. And you would think, you know, Rebecca, she's intelligent, you know? You would think that she would have a brain between her ears and she would think to keep her head down. Surely she would never dream of doing such a thing again. Well, you would be wrong. Of course you would be, because this is Rebecca and she's a predator, and I think she's a pretty experienced predator. Because after grooming and assaulting Boy A, that wasn't enough for her. She wanted more. And now we get to November of 2021. Literally only a few weeks after she has been released on bail. That is how long she has lasted. Because this is when Rebecca was contacted by another teenage boy. Boy B, who we obviously introduced a few seconds ago. He was the student that walked in on Rebecca crying in her classroom and wiped her mobile phone. Boy B was also only 15 years old. He was a year 11 high school student, and he was also a student in Rebecca's maths class. And I can imagine he contacted Rebecca because he also had her number from her little maths challenge about putting the 9 digits of her number up on the board. So Boy B actually adds Rebecca on Snapchat. And Rebecca, as we know, a part of her bail condition, she is not allowed any unsupervised contact with anyone under 18. And talking to a child, someone under 18 on the phone, is unsupervised. So Rebecca should have denied this request, not allowed him to add her on Snapchat. But does she? No, she accepts. So the two of them start talking over Snapchat. And Boy B asks Rebecca, how's she doing? To which Rebecca replies that she's not doing too well. She becomes very emotionally manipulative. And the relationship starts from there. They now start to have full-on conversations every single day over Snapchat. And as you can probably guess, when it comes to Rebecca, the conversation soon turned very sexually suggestive and flirty, which makes you feel sick. This is now her second victim in less than a month, and she is 27 years old, and she is emotionally manipulating and abusing another 15-year-old boy. And not only that, she is currently on bail because she has been arrested for the same offense. And the conversations definitely turned inappropriate very quickly. For example, Boy B would say to Rebecca, quote, "Get your tits out," to which Rebecca would reply, "Not tonight," insinuating that not tonight, but there's a possibility that I might do it another day. And although we don't have any evidence that Rebecca did send a picture of her breasts, we do know that she sent a picture of herself in her underwear and in a thong showing her bum. So I wouldn't put it past her if she actually did send that photo. And it really doesn't take long for things to accelerate from here, because within no time at all, Rebecca invites Boy B over to her apartment. And I just want to remind you all that Boy B is also only 15 years old. He is a minor. So whilst Boy B is at the apartment, Rebecca straddles him on the sofa and they engage in very sexualized kissing. And when Boy B asks if they can have sex, Rebecca says, no, they need to wait until he is 16 years old. Like that would make it any better. So a few weeks pass and Boy B does turn 16, and I think we all know where this is going. Rebecca invites Boy B back over to her apartment just 1 week after he's turned 16, so she's really not wasting any time here. Boy B lies to his mom about where he's going to be. He actually says that he's going to a football game, Manchester United. What he actually does is sells his ticket and goes to Rebecca's apartment instead. So as soon as Boy B got to the apartment, they start kissing. Rebecca actually says that she is unsure about whether she should do this and whether they should wait until Boy B is 18. And I'm like, you think? But apparently Boy B still wanted to have sex with Rebecca, so Rebecca was just like, all right, okay, let's go do it. So she took Boy B into her bedroom and sexually assaulted him and took his virginity. And technically, Boy B is 16, which is the age of consent. However, Rebecca is technically still a teacher. She's only been suspended from her job at this point, so she's technically still a teacher. So the age of consent for her is still 18. And also, it crosses so many lines that Boy B was a minor and a student of hers. It is wrong and illegal on so many levels. I don't know why she thinks that just because he's waited until he's 16 for them to have sex, that this makes it okay. The grooming started when he was 15. So after this first encounter, Rebecca decides to make this a regular thing. She doesn't learn her lesson. It's not a one-time encounter. I mean, of course it's not. We're already on victim number 2. And Rebecca continually invites Boy B over to her apartment and they have sex time and time again. And they're in this full-blown affair or predatory relationship, whatever you want to call it. And Boy B, I just want to stress again, he's still 16 and he's still in school. He's still attending school throughout all of this. And Rebecca, she's currently on bail, so she's having to go to like court appearances and stuff like that, meet with people throughout this whole thing for her current arrest of doing the exact same thing to Boy A. It is so messed up. So now we get to June of 2022, which is 5 months after the relationship with Boy B has started, and now Boy B actually does finish school. And what happens now? Well, the relationship between Boy B and Rebecca now turns very toxic. It turns into a very similar relationship to what Rebecca had with her boyfriend, like right at the beginning of the video. Rebecca now became very possessive and controlling over Boy B. She wanted to know where he was going, what he was doing, who he was doing it with, how long he was going to be out for. She would call him multiple times throughout the day, wanting to know where he is, demanding that he FaceTime her so he could prove where he was. She would ask him, Have you seen any girls today? Have you been with any girls today? And Boy B would have to FaceTime her to prove that he wasn't with another girl. Every time Boy B now visited the apartment, Rebecca would take his phone off of him to check through it, check all the messages, emails, social media. She demanded all of his passwords to his social media accounts. She would burst out screaming and crying, accusing Boy B of cheating on her. She demanded for his Snapchat password so she could monitor Boy B's location at all times. And because she was monitoring Boy B's location at all times, she would sometimes just randomly show up wherever he was, and Boy B would be with his friends. So now Rebecca is also stalking this 16-year-old boy, and she's also making it pretty obvious to everyone what she's doing. I can safely assume that Boy B, all of his friends, knew what was going on. So things carry on like this for the next few months. Rebecca and Boy B still regularly have sex. I don't know if Rebecca thought of Boy B as her boyfriend. I think she actually just thought that Boy B was her property, because that is how she's treating him. And then we almost come to a whole year in their relationship, whatever you want to call it. And this is when Boy B got completely fed up, because he didn't want to be in this so-called relationship anymore. He could see how toxic it was. He wasn't happy. He could see Rebecca for what she truly was. They were now getting into arguments almost on a daily basis. Boy B started telling Rebecca that she needed to back off. He also said, quote, "You're a weirdo, you're a nonce, you should go and find someone your own age. You need help." And for those of you that are not aware, nonce is a British slang word for a sexual predator or a paedophile. So Boy B is essentially calling Rebecca a paedophile. Boy B now realizes what has happened to him. And Boy B says over and over again that he wants to break up with Rebecca. He doesn't want this relationship anymore. But every time he says this, Rebecca emotionally manipulates him into staying, because she says that she's going to kill herself, which is incredibly manipulative and disgusting. She wrote letters that said things like, "Hi baby, I know you're struggling right now. We're both extremely stressed, but I really hope that we can work something out. I don't think you understand how much I really do love you. You are genuinely my whole world. You have no idea how perfect I think you are. You're all I've ever dreamed about. It's why I spend every second I can with you." And these are incredibly manipulative words. But Boy B still wanted to leave her, but Rebecca just kept on threatening to take her own life. And this is a 16-year-old boy that we are talking about here. How much is that going to mess with his mind? How is he supposed to comprehend everything that is going on? What Rebecca is doing is absolutely abhorrent. So Boy B feels completely trapped in this secret relationship. No one knows about this relationship. His parents don't know. However, the relationship actually does naturally cool off. I don't really know what happened. It just cooled off a little bit. They're still seeing each other. It's just not as intense. And now we get to March of 2023. And it is crazy when you realize how long this whole secret predatory relationship has been going on for. It started in November of 2021. So anyway, in March of 2023, there is another final crazy twist to this case, because Rebecca gets back in touch with Boy B to tell him that she is pregnant with his baby. Yeah, Rebecca is now pregnant with a 16-year-old baby. So one evening, she invited Boy B around to her apartment for a date night. She covered the apartment in rose petals, and she told Boy B that he needed to go on a scavenger hunt around the apartment to find out what she needed to tell him. And she left like little notes around the apartment, and the notes, oh God. So the notes said, "Go to where I undercooked our pizza. Go to where we keep all the goodies. Go to where you like to aim your wee after sex." And I'm like, what? Who leaves a note like that? And then one final note said, quote, "Find the final surprise where we should be having cuddles right now." So then Boy B headed to the bedroom, headed to the bed, and he found a small baby grow on the bed. And on the baby grow were the words, "I love my daddy to the moon and back." And to say that Boy B was shocked would be an understatement, because Rebecca had also told Boy B that she couldn't get pregnant. And every single time they had sex, it was unprotected. And Rebecca obviously was saying that she couldn't get pregnant because she had polycystic ovarian syndrome, which was a complete lie. It's not impossible to get pregnant with polycystic ovarian syndrome because Rebecca's gotten pregnant. And honestly, if you want my opinion, this is my opinion, this was Rebecca's plan all along. I think she wanted to get pregnant, which is why she had so much unprotected sex with 2 teenage boys. And I think this was breaking point for boy B, because he was like, how the hell am I supposed to keep a baby a secret? He's kept this relationship a secret for 18 months. He can't do it with a baby. There is now literally a ticking clock, because this baby is going to be arriving in the next, well, I think it was about 7 months when the baby was supposed to be due. And he knew that he had to tell his parents. So boy B went to his parents and he told them everything. Boy B's parents immediately phoned up the police. And this is when the disgusting truth of what Rebecca has now done to boy B was revealed. Boy B confesses everything to the police, and the police head to Rebecca's apartment and immediately arrest her again. Because remember, she's currently out on bail pending a further investigation. And I just want to pause for a second here. How long does it take to conduct a bloody investigation? She has been out on bail for 18 months. It's ridiculous. And in that time, she has managed to find and abuse another victim. So now Rebecca is on her second arrest for her offences against boy B. And the footage of Rebecca being arrested again can actually be seen online. And literally, I want to punch her in the face, because she tries to act like a victim, like her body language. She's got like her arms crossed and she tries to act all innocent. And she's like, what? So
obviously, given what's happened, I know you've been sent home from school today. So you are under arrest at the moment on suspicion of sexual activity with a child. You do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention one question, something which you later rely in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence.
How's it gone so far since?
And she is far from innocent, and she is arrested and taken into custody. And in June of 2023, all the way up to the very beginning of this year, 2024, Rebecca was held in custody awaiting trial. And in January of 2024, this is when Rebecca gave birth in prison to boy B's baby. The baby was immediately taken into Child Protective Services, and Rebecca was apparently distraught that she was only allowed to see her baby a few times a week for a few hours. It was then decided that the baby would be placed in the custody of boy B and his parents, so they could raise the child away from Rebecca. So in May of 2024, which is like only a couple of months ago, Rebecca's trial started. And this is when it blew up in the UK. This is when I first heard about this case. And Rebecca was charged with 6 counts of sexual activity with a child, which included 2 counts of sexual activity with a child whilst in a position of trust, which were related to both boy A and boy B. And throughout the whole trial, Rebecca really did try to play the victim. Every day when she went into court, she kept a tiny baby's pink bonnet tucked into her trousers. She was really trying to win over the sympathy of the jury. And it's like, I'm sorry, no one is going to show you sympathy for a baby that you had to give up because you sexually abused a child. That baby is better off without you. And whilst Rebecca was giving evidence, she spoke in this phony little girl's voice, again trying to make herself seem as innocent as possible. She even gave a sob story about how depressed she was and that it was just all one big mistake. And I'm like, no. That relationship that she had with boy B lasted for 18 months. That is not what you call a mistake. And also, there is no such thing as a mistake when it comes to abusing children. But both boy A and boy B came forward in the trial to give their evidence, and they both spoke about how manipulated they were by Rebecca, that they couldn't really see it at the time, but now they're a bit older, they can see just what she did to them. Boy B in particular was incredibly torn up about what has happened to him. He has suffered so much. He lost 18 months of his youth to Rebecca. He was traumatized by her controlling, manipulative behavior, and now he will be tied to Rebecca for the rest of his life because they have a child together. And after the testimony of the 2 victims of today's case, the prosecution painted a very powerful picture. The prosecution told the jury to picture a 28-year-old male teacher called Robert, and Robert started to receive very flirtatious comments from his female students. Then the prosecution asked the jury how they would feel if Robert, the teacher, had sex with one of his 15-year-old female students and then had sex with another one of his 15-year-old students and got that one pregnant. How would they feel about that? And that's a very powerful picture. And in the end, the tactic worked, and Rebecca was found guilty on all charges. And then this next part, I really want to pull my hair out about, because obviously she was now found guilty on all charges, so she now needed to be sentenced, but she was released on bail for her sentencing. And I'm like, really? What happened last time you did that? And I can't imagine that they would have bailed a male offender if a male offender had done the same as Rebecca. And there were photos of Rebecca when she's out on bail pending sentencing, just out and about shopping, like she doesn't have a care in the world. And then on the 4th of July, 2024, Rebecca was back in court for her sentencing, and Rebecca Joins was sentenced to 6.5 years. Yeah, let that sink in. Only 6.5 years. Now again, I'm going to say the same thing to you. Do you think a male offender would have gotten a sentence that small? I'm going to say no. I think Rebecca got off very, very lightly. Plus, Rebecca will be allowed visitation rights to her baby every single week. And she will be eligible for parole in 6 years' time, where she will be, 34 years old. There are restraining orders on both boy A and boy B, so thankfully Rebecca will not be able to contact them, and Rebecca will be placed on the sex offenders register for life. So thankfully, even when she does get out of prison, she will not be allowed to work with children. And that was the case of Rebecca Joins. I could not believe that case when I heard about it, but I really wanted to cover this case because I have recently been seeing an increased amount of cases where there is a female sexual predator in a position of power, which is not something that you hear about every single day. And it's just even crazier when you remember that she abused boy B when she was out on bail for the offences against boy A. How was she able to get away with that? Why was there no checks in place? And I just really hope that boy A and boy B and that baby are okay. And I just hope that they can recover from what Rebecca has done to them. So you're going to have to let me know your thoughts on today's case. As always, let me know your thoughts, theories and opinions in the comments down below. And don't forget to leave me your case suggestions in the comments down below. Next week, I will be covering a highly requested case. I was supposed to be covering that case this week, but because I'm ill, I didn't really feel up to filming it because it's probably going to be a long video. So stay tuned for that case next week. Thank you again to Love and Pies for sponsoring today's video, and I'll see you all in my next one. Bye.